for a limited amount of time. And now you've got Bill Gates wanting to block out the sun with spraying more junk in the air. Why are they wanting to do that? Is it really for our good? Is it for our bad? I think it's to cover up everything that speaks about God. I think this is why they want to twist everything. I think this is the whole point of transhumanism. It's to distort the creation so it's unrecognizable, and so that people don't see and they don't recognize what the Bible says is that the heavens declare the glory of God and the firmament showeth his handiwork. They want to cover up everything that has any praise, glory towards the Creator. They want to distort us so that we don't bear his image in the manner that we should. They're wanting to do all of that. And war is a great way to off a bunch of people and start with a new group. And in that, as you know, the victors declare the history, don't they? And so a new history comes over the minds of the people who are left. They're told more lies about why it happened, who the heroes are, who they should uphold, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they'll do. They'll do all of that. All right. Right back here. We are down to, did I get all the way through that? I think I got all the way through that. Okay. Article 7. When land forces are raised by any state for the common defense, all officers of or under the rank of colonel shall be appointed by the legislature of each state respectively, by whom such forces shall be raised, or in such manner as such state shall direct, and all vacancies shall be filled up by the state with which first made appointment. Okay, all right. So they're allowing the states to build their own land forces, and also those land forces would be used together in conjunction with the other states should the need arise for them to defend one another. Okay, it's pretty simple. Article number 8. All charges of war and all other expenses that shall be incurred for the common defense or general welfare and allowed by the United States and Congress assembled shall be defrayed out of a common treasury, which shall be supplied by the several states in proportion to the value of all land within each state, granted to or surveyed for any person, as such land and the buildings and the improvements thereon shall be estimated, according to such mode as the United States and Congress assembled shall from time to time direct and appoint. The taxes for paying that proportion shall be laid and levied by the authority and direction of the legislature of the several states within the time agreed upon by the United States and Congress assembled. This taxation of people's land, I think is just absolutely wrong. I think it's absolutely wrong. A man who does not own his land, and I realize all the land is ultimately the Lord's and we're stewards of it, but you understand what I'm saying. A man who doesn't own his land, I mean, look, you go back in the Old Testament, you even see that. Guy's got a vineyard, the king wants his vineyard, so the queen comes with, just take it, you're the king. Kills the guy, takes his land. His land. It's called theft. He engaged in murder to steal it. This thing of taxing land and not giving you an allodial title and things like this is just downright criminal. It's devilish is what it is. Article 9. The United States and Congress assembled shall have the sole and exclusive right and power of determining on peace and war, except in the cases mentioned in the 6th article, of sending and receiving ambassadors, entering into treaties and alliances, provided that no treaty or commerce shall be made, whereby the legislative power of the respective states shall be restrained from imposing such imposts and duties on foreigners as their own people are subjected to, or from prohibiting the exportation of importation of any species of goods or commodities whatsoever, of establishing rules for deciding in all cases what captures on land or water shall be legal, and in what manner prizes taken by land or naval forces in the service of the United States shall be divided or appropriated, of granting letters of marque and reprisal in times of peace, appointing courts for the trials of piracies and felonies committed on the high seas, and establishing courts for receiving and determining finally appeals in all cases of captures provided that no member of Congress shall be appointed a judge of any of the said courts. The United States and Congress assembled shall also be the last resort on appeal in all disputes and differences now subsisting, or that hereafter may arise between two or more states concerning boundary, jurisdiction, or any other cause whatever, which authority shall always be exercised in the manner following. Whenever the legislative or executive authority or lawful agent of any state in controversy with another shall present a petition to Congress stating the matter in question and praying for a hearing, notice thereof shall be given by order of Congress to the legislative or executive authority of the other state in controversy, and a day assigned for the appearance of the parties by their lawful agents, who shall then be directed to appoint by joint consent commissioners or judges to constitute a court for hearing and determining the matter in question. But if they cannot agree, Congress shall name 3 persons out of each of the United States, and from the list of such persons each party shall alternatively strike out one, the petitioners beginning, until the number shall be reduced to 13, and from that number not less than 7, no more than 9 names, as Congress shall direct, shall in the presence of Congress be drawn out by lot, and the persons whose names shall be so drawn, or any 5 of them, shall be commissioners or judges to hear and finally determine the controversy, so always as a major part of the judges who shall hear the cause shall agree in the determination, and if either party shall neglect to attend at the day appointed, without showing reasons which Congress shall judge sufficient, or being present shall refuse to strike, the Congress shall proceed to nominate 3 persons out of each state, and the Secretary of Congress shall strike in behalf of such party absent of refusing, and the judgment and sentence of the court to be appointed in the manner before prescribed shall be final and conclusive, and if any of the parties shall refuse to submit to the authority of such court, or to appear or defend their claim or cause, the court shall nevertheless proceed to pronounce sentence or judgment, which shall in like manner be final and decisive, the judgment or sentence and other proceedings being in either case transmitted to Congress and lodged among the acts of Congress for the security of the parties concerned, provided that every commissioner, before he sits in judgment, shall take an oath to be administered by one of the judges of the Supreme or Superior Court of the state where the cause shall be tried, well and truly to hear and determine the matter in question, according to the best of his judgment, without favor, affection, or hope of reward, provided also that no state shall be deprived of territory for the benefit of the United States. My goodness. I got to have some water here. That was an incredibly long sentence. All that was one sentence for you guys on the radio. Wow. I'm sure somebody would have gotten in trouble in an English class with that. Oh, that was really long. That was really long. All right, let me pick up with what goes on after that. Man, that was a long sentence. Phew. All controversies concerning the private right of soil claimed under different grants of 2 or more states, whose jurisdictions as they may respect such lands, and the states which pass such grants are adjusted, the said grants or either of them being at the same time claimed to have originated antecedent to such settlement of jurisdiction, shall on the petition of either party to the Congress of the United States be finally determined, as near as may be, in the same manner as it is before prescribed, for deciding disputes respecting territorial jurisdiction between different states. It continues, the United States and Congress assembled shall also have the sole and exclusive right and power of regulating the alloy and value of coin struck by their own authority, or by that of the respective states, fixing the standard of weights and measurements throughout the United States. Now, you know that we've already been through this issue concerning the Federal Reserve. We've been over fiat money. We've been over what's biblical and constitutional money. Somebody was asking me the other day, it was a good question, that, they said, are you sure about that, that this is the only money? Well, when you look to Scripture, I think you do see that gold and silver were used as money, and then you have the sort of downturn of that where the Bible talks about filthy lucre. So I think there is something that went on where there's an exchange to where it becomes dirtied, it becomes corrupt. And I'm not talking about the gold and silver per se, but I'm talking about the heart of man. Of course, gold and silver is going to, they're going to tarnish and stuff. That's going to happen. But it's the heart of man, right? The heart of man is drawn by that filthy lucre, and so elders, deacons, and such, they're warned against that. They're said, these guys, if they've got anything to do with that, they can't be in that. That's a part of their qualification. So they're laying out here that they want a standard of weights and measurements. Why? Because unjust weights and measurements are an abomination before the Lord, and they're taking something from somebody. So they're going to regulate what alloys they're going to make their coins out of, that they're going to use, just in the same way in the Bible when they had a denarius or whatever they had, that would be considered. But also, I guess some people can consider it money because in their mind they're thinking of something of value that they're trading. So you would have that in the tithe, you'd have that in your produce, you'd have that in the flocks that you grew. That would be a means of wealth, or for lack of a better term, a real money, something that you could bargain with, something that you could trade. But as far as when you're dealing with money that's going to be coined, that's going to be minted, even here they had alloy. In the Constitution, it's only gold or silver. It's not these little paper banknotes. It's not that. And it won't be CBDCs either. It's supposed to be gold and silver. So they fixed the standard of weights and measurements throughout the United States, regulating the trade and managing all affairs with the Indians, not members of any of the states, provided that the legislative right of any state within its own limits be not infringed or violated, establishing and regulating post offices. By the way, they're doing this with the Indians because the Indians didn't want to be a part of what they were doing. I think that among many things, created hostility. Why don't you want to be with us? And this sort of forcing away on the people. Nevertheless, within its own limits, be not infringed or violated, establishing and regulating post offices from one state to another. So that was, here long before the Constitution as well, throughout all the United States, and exacting such postage on the papers passing through the same as may be requisite to defray the expenses of the said office, appointing all officers of the land forces in the service of the United States, excepting regimental officers, appointing all the officers of the naval forces, and commissioning all officers whatever in the service of the United States, making rules for the government and regulation of the said land and naval forces, and directing their operations. The United States in Congress assembled shall have authority to appoint a committee to sit in the recess of Congress, to be denominated a committee of the states, and to consist of one delegate from each state, and to appoint such other committees and civil officers as may be necessary for managing the general affairs of the United States under their direction, to appoint one of their number to preside, provided that no person be allowed to serve in the office of president more than 1 year in any term of 3 years. How do you like that? Talk about a term limit. You got 1 year, dude. To ascertain the necessary sums of money to be raised for the service of the United States, and to appropriate and apply the same for defraying the public expenses, to borrow money or emit bills on the credit of the United States. That's a bad, I'm just telling you, that's a bad idea. The government should never have the authority to borrow money. Or emit bills on the credit of the United States, transmitting every half year to the respective states on account of the sums of money so borrowed or emitted, to build and equip a navy, to agree upon the number of land forces, and to make requisitions from each state for its quota, in proportion to the number of white inhabitants in such state, which requisition shall be binding, and thereupon the legislature of each state shall appoint the regimental officers, raise the men, and clothe, arm, and equip them in a soldier-like manner at the expense of the United States. So they're gonna equip and train the men in the military, and the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed and within the time agreed on by the United States in Congress assembled. But if the United States and Congress assembled shall, on consideration of circumstances, judge proper that any state should not raise men, or should raise a smaller number than his quota, and that any other state should raise a greater number of men than the quota thereof, such extra number shall be raised, officered, clothed, armed, and equipped in the same manner as the quota of such state, unless the legislature of such state shall judge that such extra number cannot be safely spared out of the same, in which case they shall raise, officer, clothe, arm, and equip as many of such extra number as they judge can be safely spared, and the officers and men so clothed, armed, and equipped shall march to the place appointed and within the time agreed on by the United States and Congress assembled. That off of there? Somehow. I don't know what's going. There it goes. Okay. The United States and Congress assembled shall never engage in war, nor grant letters of marque and reprisal in time of peace. Remember, this is what Thomas Jefferson used in the Barbary Wars. He got Congress. He didn't involve the U.S. military per se. What he did was he used Congress to write letters of marque and reprisal, which allowed for private contractors like, guys who had private warships, had arms and men and such, to go and to fight on behalf of the United States or to accomplish something for the United States. So that's what he did. He employed the use of private warships, and he did so with letters of marque and reprisal. You can find those in Article 1. Congress can write that. A lot of these things that they're telling us we need to go to war over, if anything needed to be done, most of it could be done with letters of marque and reprisal. And then you don't have a government being involved in that, so to speak, any more than sending private persons out to do that. So they had that, nor grant letters of marque and reprisal in time of peace, nor enter into any treaties or alliances, nor coin money, nor regulate the value thereof, nor ascertain the sums and expenses necessary for the defense and welfare of the United States, or any of them, nor emit bills, nor borrow money on the credit of the United States, nor appropriate money, nor agree upon the number of vessels of war to be built or purchased, or the number of land or sea forces to be raised, nor appoint a commander-in-chief of the army or navy, unless 9 states assent to the same. Okay, so 3/4 of the states have to go along with this. Nor shall a question on any other point, except for adjourning from day to day, be determined unless by the votes of a majority of the United States and Congress assembled. And so there you see the democratic process, this majority voting even of the representatives. Okay, it's a democratic process, but ultimately it's to be under law. You have established rules that you're going to conduct yourself by, okay? And that's what republic is. It's law that's in place to hold that society up, or to, in some manner, okay? The Congress of the United States shall have power to adjourn to any time within the year and to any place within the United States, so that no period of adjournment be for a longer duration than the space of 6 months, and shall publish the journal of their proceedings monthly, except such parts thereof relating to treaties, alliances, or military operations as in their judgment require secrecy. And the yeas and nays of the delegates of each state on any question shall be entered on the journal when it is desired by any delegate, and the delegates of a state, or any of them, at his or their request, shall be furnished with a transcript of the said journal, except such parts as are above accepted, to lay before the legislatures of the several states. Article 10, these go somewhat quickly here. We may have to go over just a little bit. So if you guys on the radio, if you want to come over and you want to finish the rest of this with us, sonsoflibertymedia.com, Sons of Liberty Radio Live on Rumble, and also beforeitsnews.com. This is Article 10. The committee of the states, or any 9 of them, shall be authorized to execute in the recess of Congress such of the powers of Congress as the United States and Congress assembled by the consent of 9 states shall from time to time think expedient to vest them with, provided that no power be delegated to the said committee, for the exercise of which the Articles of Confederation, the voice of 9 states, in the Congress of the United States assembled, is requisite. Article 11, Canada acceding to this confederation and joining the measures of the United States shall be admitted into and entitled to all the advantage of this union, but no other colony shall be admitted into the same unless such admission be agreed to by 9 states. So they've got 3/4 of the states. It isn't just a simple majority. They've got 13 states there, and they're saying 9 of them have to approve it. Article 12. All bills of credit emitted, monies borrowed, and debts contracted by or under the authority of Congress before the Assembly of the United States in pursuance of the present Confederation shall be deemed and considered as a charge against the United States for payment and satisfaction, whereof the said United States and the public faith are hereby solemnly pledged. And then this one, this is the one I find most interesting in all of this, especially as we look to the new Constitution that took its place. Article 13, every state shall abide by the determination of the United States and Congress assembled on all questions which by this confederation are submitted to them. And the articles of this confederation shall be inviolably observed by every state, and the union shall be perpetual, nor shall any alteration at any time hereafter be made in any of them, unless such alteration be agreed to in a Congress of the United States and be afterwards confirmed by the legislatures of every state. Now, you've got a new Constitution, the one that we have now, that took the place of our first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation. And how did it do that? Well, if you look to, I think it's Article 7, what you're going to see is it says, this is adopted by 3/4 of the state. So they went back to the 9 states. They didn't say 9 states. They said 3/4 because they anticipated that if it was taken on, they would grow. They would take on more states and such. So they said 3/4 of the states. So you have to understand, in order to change things, the Articles of Confederation said every legislature, every state had to agree to it. New Constitution comes along, entirely new Constitution. It's not amendments. It's an entirely new Constitution, and says 3/4 of the states get on this. This becomes the law. And the Convention of States people would have you believe, oh, well, see, we can control that. And people ask them, well, what about if somebody, they've got 2 or 3 or 4 different constitutions written that they want to throw in there? Oh, we can control that. Are you sure about that? Didn't work too well here. No, but we have to have 3/4 of states. Well, again, what if somebody comes in and says, well, we just need 10. We just need 26. We just need 51%. Right? What are you going to do? You propose that, it's there. But this says, if they're going to change something, every state has to confirm that. Okay? All right. Let's wind it down. Guys, if you want to pick that up, I've given you the websites. We're going to run out of time here. So I want to read this last paragraph from what's here. And my time is just going to run out. So I'd rather just read all that paragraph and then end the show. So you guys be sure and catch Bradley today at 3. Lord willing, we'll be back with you in the morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. with Kate Shimarani. Whoops, that's the wrong music. All right, we're just going to leave that off. I hate trying to do that manually. We're going to try to do that. Kate will be with us, Lord willing, at 8 a.m. I think she's ready to just get right back in the saddle. So we'll see you guys in the morning at 8, and you guys can catch us on sonsoflibertymedia.com for this last paragraph here and final words. Okay? Have a great day. All right. I want to welcome everybody coming over from the radio. This is the final paragraph here in the Articles of Confederation. And this is what we read. And whereas it had pleased the great governor of the world, and their reference is obviously to the Creator, to incline the hearts of the legislatures we respectively represent in Congress to approve of and to authorize us to ratify the said Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, know ye that we, the undersigned delegates, by virtue of the power and authority to us given for that purpose, do by these presents, in the name and in behalf of our respective constituents, fully and entirely ratify and confirm each and every of the said Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union, and all and singular the matters and things therein contained, and we do further solemnly plight and engage the faith of our respective constituents that they shall abide by their determinations of the United States and Congress assembled on all questions which by the said Confederation are submitted to them, and that the articles thereof shall be inviolably observed by the states we respectively represent, and that the Union shall be perpetual. In witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands in Congress, done at Philadelphia in the state of Pennsylvania, the 9th day of July, in the year of our Lord 1778, and in the 3rd year of the independence of America. And that's the end of the Articles of Confederation. It's pretty simple, isn't it? I mean, the Constitution probably takes a little bit longer to read than that, but it was a pretty simple document. It was to loosely tie the states together, to defend one another, to be able to trade back and forth with one another, and be able to travel with one another through the various countries of the states. That's what it was set to do. It wasn't a thing of a document to mete out moral punishments per se. It was a structure of the society, and the people who were going to be there were going to work for the people, not for themselves. They were working for the people. And do you see the mindset of how it's changed now? The people think that the people they elect are our leaders. How backwards is that? The people are the employer. The guys that get up there and, they're all fancy and they think they can show off and write law about whatever they want to and talk about whatever they want to, and all this kind of stuff as though they're representatives of the people, as though they're leaders. They begin to believe it, and so they start acting like it. And that's why we're in a mess we're in, is because those who are to serve start acting like leaders. Now, did Jesus lead the way as he served? The Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve, right? And how did he do that? Well, he taught the people truth. He healed them. He made distinctions of those who were in the kingdom and those who were not in the kingdom, those who were of his family and those who were not of his family. He made distinction of what even that comprised. Man had to be born again. Needs to do the will of God. I mean, even he showed what it was to serve when he went to his disciples after 3.5 years of ministry and washed their feet. He did the thing that the lowest servant in the house would do. And yet today, those who serve the people often are arrogant and boisterous and obnoxious. They're drunkards, they're philanderers, they're adulterers, they're sodomites. I mean, the people put the worst of men, or allow, because I know the voting's ready, allow the worst of men to be put in positions where they're representing them. And the fact that the people don't rid themselves of them is evidence of the corruption of how it comes on them too. Okay. Hope it's been informative. Always like going through these old documents and just seeing how these guys wrote, what they were thinking. Some things I agree with. Of course, some things, as I said here, I don't agree with. And I think they can be done a different way. But in any case, I hope it's informative to you and it's useful. And if you feel like it, you want to download it, upload it, you want to share it with somebody, you're more than welcome to. Freely we've been given, or freely we receive, freely we give, right? Bradley be with you at 3, and then Lord willing, we'll be back in the morning, 8 a.m. with Kate Shimrani. Continue to keep her in your prayers. I've been meaning to say that, and when we did the pre-record with Casper, I completely forgot to make mention of that. But keep her in your prayers, her family, and we'll see you guys in the morning, Lord willing. Adios.